All right, we're trying this again. I'm not saying anything about what has taken place to not try and jinx it, even though I just said that, which probably makes it something will go wrong. But still, guys, we're obviously hopping in here toward another restart. Apologies for the amount that we've seen already off the game. But loading in here for Hardpoint, Gibraltar, map number 1, between, of course, MAGIK and Rain. As, of course, off the break, we'll be looking at Pit Center for our first hill, at least off the beginning. It will be a little bit of an advantage right now toward the red team, which, of course, is consisting of Hitmxn, LispZeus, Neonn, and JetLi, as a pretty dominant hold when it comes down to things. Is it looks like on back-to-back breaks, really what I've noticed is kind of Flawless off the left side is really kind of finding kills. Like, MAGIK is doing a good job at like picking them off the start, but it's just overall the aggression and the ability for the guys on range to just kind of have the advantage of maybe kind of pushing up the map, getting map control, and then just kind of holding a line sight and making the guys from MAGIK pay for it. So off the first Hardpoint, which was a pretty dominant victory, it looks like a full kind of 4-man rush, actually a 3-man rush through the backside flank. Ends up working out very, very well for the boys on Rain. So with that, they kind of take over complete control of Fort Courtyard, and with only Schillez and MAGIK up, they're able to kind of retake things as they're making another retake, as Flawless happens to miss the melee. Rather unfortunate position as the metal probably clinked off the building. And now looking on as TTiny does fire a bullet in the back of his teammate. Unfortunately, that'll only be 5 seconds on Fort Courtyard that you grab. You're spawning already, and the next hardpoint might as well stay there. And right now, though, it looks like, as we kind of take a look at the setups, really get to be wary, because as they do find those kills, which is important, make sure that they do not spawn in the back of your base. It's still possible, and while people aren't a big fan of Gibraltar, I'm not the biggest fan either as far as like spawns are considered. Like that, look at that. Player number 8 randomly spawns back there. LispZeus somehow gets this, and that's what I said. You have to be very wary of that, because at random moments it can happen. You see LispZeus is like, how did I spawn here? Like, why? How did I just automatically pop up in Narnia? Not exactly sure, but it happens, and that's essentially a perfect like spot-on moment that I don't really understand this. And is it like the guys? I'm really confused. Rain just like let them kill them? I have no idea what just happened in that situation. I really hope we don't see a restart. If that was just bad timing or what, because I literally just saw a few of the red arrows kind of stare at nothing and die. So, not exactly sure. Based off that spawn, like I said, you can never be too careful. As right now, though, based off of that, doesn't really take away from the time. Like, nothing really kind of comes from that. And it is going to be MAGIK, who successfully held on Castle Road. And this is kind of considered the Money Hill. If you're not familiar with the Money Hill term, I got to be kind of wary of that. I actually saw a Reddit post the other day where people were kind of bringing up and saying, you know what, like I like the Call of Duty terms, but I'm just not familiar with it. So from like a kind of younger stance, or maybe people who are kind of watching this for the first time, Money Hill basically means it's the easiest hill to hold. If you're familiar with like the 3-point contest and like basketball, it's like basically it's the easiest one and the one that means the most to you. Maybe not the easiest one, but the most important one to hold, where if you do hold it correctly, it can obviously grant you quite a bit of success. So Money Hill's definitely ones that should be preferred more than others. And that's the reason why we currently see the boys from MAGIK in this game and also in the lead based off of that last hardpoint on Castle Road, as we'll revisit that one after the first of the rotations do conclude, which will happen after the last 24 seconds of turret do expire. And looking on right now as TTiny locking down the seconds inside of the hill. I'm taking a look at Schill's overall scoreboard as we can kind of take a look at that one in the top right. 7-6. I'm giving applause. I'm happy with it. I'm good with that one, Schillez. As long as he can play consistent, do his job, kind of be around that even, if not, you know, kind of 1.09. I just gave a really specific KD. But kind of around that limit, that's where we see the team have a lot of success. Kind of having that 4th consistent player is huge for a team. So now looking on, of course, action taking place with, it looks like off the beginning of this hardpoint for the boys on MAGIK. As Flawless doing some damage from that other side. Does get taken out from an aid from LispZeus. Lead at the half, though, or lead at the end of the first rotations in favor of MAGIK. Looks like MAGIK and Co. currently holding inside of the hill. As a few players trying to, looks like maybe not even solo challenge, but not having a whole lot of teammate support behind it. As Hitmxn trying to get involved in the kills. It looks like it will be Schillez along with player number 6. Battling it out for a 1v1. It will be Schillez who wins it, finds the second one as well, and looking for the third. Finding himself on a 5 spree, nearly finds the 6th. Exactly what you want to see if you are a MAGIK eSports fan. Getting those streaks, especially when it comes down to future hardpoints, especially in this next one. over toward Fort Courtyard. Rotation coming through, and right now, MAGIK inside of the hard point. Just continuous success for these boys as MAGIK locking down some control inside of that top comms building. JetLi trying to make the flank forward. Not a whole lot of support from his teammates, as it will be Tiny and MAGIK picking up the kills in quick succession. Schillez still has these streaks. This is such a positive for the guys on MAGIK, as it looks like he does have a few shaky shots coming in toward comms building. Needs to take out LispZeus and will successfully do it, as that will be the final piece to the puzzle, as now you can see the other three players are good to go on the rotation. Schillez is going to wait for his teammate to hop inside of the hill so he can kind of join alongside the other two. And just like that, similar position, though, to what we saw in the last set of rotations. It was a pretty decently sized lead for Rain. MAGIK held down just about every single second on Castle Road, and we saw the advantage quickly turn the tide, quickly turn the other way. So taking a look, 175 to 97, a very big turnaround already in this second half. But now looking on here toward Castle Road, we'll see what the guys from Rain can do to hold it successfully on defense. Early rush established, and Schillez goes for the early challenge. That's just great timing. That's grand for them. At the same time, the streaks comes forward, and I'm not sure who exactly earned that. It might be a MAGIK. I'm not exactly sure. But speaking of streaks, Hitmxn very close toward that glide bomb, trying to fire blindly through the smoke. Gets hit markers on the Tiny. And here comes the glide bomb. Can it do some damage? This one probably from Schillez. Doesn't gain a kill, but probably gains some information, and Hitmxn just dies off of that glide bomb. Thankfully does have the fighter pilot, but it'd be awesome to have that secondary and if not third streak in your back pocket. So while it was off the break, a decent hold coming in from Rain, it will be MAGIK who does get their fair share at a few opportunities to seconds. And it looks like Schillez going for a last second challenge on the opposite end of the map. Not exactly sure his overall placement, to be honest with you. Like, that's not a beneficial lane to hold for the time, as it looks like, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what play number 3, MAGIK and Schillez were doing. Maybe watching their flank, but they don't, like, they hold the primary side, because for those who are familiar with Gibraltar Hardpoint at the start of this game, it was really just kind of a matter of this, like, kind of from cave, you had the advantage because you had the cave window. It was a lot easier for you to kind of get to the hard point. But actually now it's the opposite. It's actually kind of holding it from comms building is a lot easier, because you're a lot closer toward that mid map, where exactly where Tiny was for a short time, kind of near that railing. Since you kind of have that advantage to kind of have 2 point of views to look over rather than just one, that actually kind of now has kind of turned into the more favorable side of the two, kind of holding that back comms building so that you can kind of see them favoring spawns, but at the same time, I feel like they favored it a little bit too much. Maybe gave away maybe a few more seconds than they should have. But to take a look at this, though, MAGIK 27 and 12 on a 7 spree has earned that artillery barrage. And I'm curious what streak he's going to call in. It looks like it will be the fighter pilot off the start, trying to pick up these players, and they don't need to spotty stack in this situation. LispZeus at the last second will fall 2 down, and now getting close to a double-digit streak. At 9 right now, can MAGIK make it 10? Finds JetLi. Can he finish off the kill? Yes, that's 10, and that's 11. MAGIK beginning to pull a few things out of the hat, making some work happen. Also now has a few more streaks to utilize, and actually might have just pinged. I think he just pinged the streaks. Thought it might have been an artillery barrage or a glide bomb coming, but Tiny guiding him over as MAGIK still on the streak. I think it's important that we kind of stay on board with him. Now enters into the 12 range, looking for 13. Can he find it? Yes, there's 13 for MAGIK. Unbelievable play. So far throughout this month, we've been seeing player after player go on these unnecessary streaks, as he does enter in, what is that, 13, 14 range? I think it was 14 kills in a row. Unbelievable stuff there from that man MAGIK, giving his team a huge amount of momentum, as the glide bomb will come down for good measure. The last few seconds are going to tick away, and the boys from Rain are not going to be here. Talk about a statement. 250 to 162, as it will be MAGIK who locks this one down and chalks up a 1-0 advantage. And I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised by this result. I really am. I don't know, maybe just Land's predictions are not correct tonight. I'm not sure if the COD gods just aren't blessing me with it or whatever it really may be, but talk about a performance coming in from MAGIK, right? 35 and 13, just unbelievable play coming in from this man. Like I said, Schillez finishes off 19-16. He's positive. He's getting inside of the hill. Exactly what you wanted to see if you are a MAGIK fan. And it's kind of funny how similar this hardpoint was to the one versus Complexity. And it also kind of shows here in the scoreboard here for the hard points, because, of course, you take a look at the first two hills. Pit Center, fairly kind of close back and forth play. Courtyard, a little bit different. Of course, 75 to 36 advantage is nothing to really laugh at. But Castle Road, 30 to 59 advantage. Turret, 32 to 60 advantage. Of course, toward the end of Market in both those situations. But really, in the hard point where they versed against Complexity on this exact same map in the prime that was taking place on last Friday, we ended up seeing a 250 to 165 victory for Complexity. In this last hard point versus Market, we see a 250 versus 162 overall match where, of course, Rain loses in both those situations. I think I said Market. I meant to say Rain. Apologies for that. When Rain faced off against Complexity in the last tournament where he had the prime, it was a 250 to 165 advantage toward Cole. In this situation, it was 250 to 162 in favor of Market. My apologies. The reason why I bring that up, though, is how similar the scoreline is, also with how similar the hardpoint spread was, because it was really Rain who, in the first two hills, was having a lot of success. Granted, this time on Courtyard, they really struggle. But generally, it was like them not being able to kind of establish control, not rotating toward Castle Road very often. I think they rotated toward like the second or third set of rotations. They're able to kind of lock things down. I think it was the second set of rotations. They locked down Castle Road, a good amount of time, but they kind of get easily broken. Not a whole lot really comes from it. They start to have a lot of struggles on turret as well. And I think it's the ability for the opposite team to really kind of prefer those comms side and to kind of really kind of establish that control very, very well. And they were having a number of different problems coming through Cave. Getting the scrap seconds on Castle Road is not at all what you really want to do. It's about holding the kind of initial 40 and then already being on the rotation. Is kind of what you want to do when it comes into Castle Road. It can be a money hill, but it's all about the early control, because having that spawn for turret can be difficult if you don't have any mid-map presence. So I think that Rain kind of really needs to work on that when it comes into Gibraltar. I really wasn't thinking that we were going to see a performance like this come out of Market. But yet again, like I said, when I count them out, they rise to the occasion. So maybe I should keep doing that if they want to kind of keep moving forward. But Search and Destroy on St. Marie Dumas, I think, like I said, the guys from Market have a lot of confidence. But if we also take a look at Rain's kind of progression through the prime, which obviously was very impressive, they didn't win their series off of hardpoints. They won them off of Search and Destroys and CTF. So I'm not going to count out Market again, but I'm just saying when it comes down to versing against Rain, this was not their strongest game mode. It was just a game mode where I felt like it would be a very nerve-wracking moment if the guys on Market lose it, just surely based off the fact that Rain is very good at these two game modes in quick succession. But if we also look at Market, this is the game modes that they succeeded in when it came down to their last series. So both teams maybe kind of entering into their more comfort zone. Of course, Market now possessing the big advantage. Guaranteed to see the CTF. So maybe that's a positive for Market. Maybe it's a positive for Rain. Both these teams kind of succeed in the Search and Destroy and the CTF game category. So very kind of looking forward to what could be potential map number 3, kind of series and whatnot. So, guys, we're going to be having Search and Destroy on St. Marie Dumas after this quick commercial break. Of course, put their predictions down in the chat below. Where you think it will be Market or will it be Rain? I'm really curious to see how this one obviously does play out. But, of course, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, here to the $300 minimum 4v4 event. Of course, take place on February 22nd. It's been myself, Lando Sanders, guiding you guys through the action for tonight. And, of course, advancing in toward map number 2, Search and Destroy on St. Marie Dumas between Market and Rain. It was actually the boys on Market who took map number 1, hardpoint on Gibraltar, 250 to 162, as Tiny, with that sniper rifle, continuing to be a nuisance in this game mode, as he was a major factor in the reasoning why we saw Market close out Search and Destroy in their last series. And now looking on as Neonn finding himself all by his lonesome. 1v2 spot. Thankfully does have the top red position. So if you were in any kind of clutching spot where it was like a 1v2, 1v3 scenario, this is definitely the preferred position to hold. The ability to check either side at about a moment's notice is awesome, to say the least. This is a nice little adjective there for you. But the only negative is that he can't really see the bomb site from this point of view. Gets hit markers onto Tiny. Another bullet would have taken him out. Gets the initial challenge back toward Schillez. This time around, is not able to find it. So, off the start, I think it was a pretty good moment for Market. Usually in Search and Destroy, both teams, their goal is to just kind of feel the other team out. Just kind of get a little bit of an idea as to what they like to do on offense, what the other team likes to do on defense, and really kind of work from there. So we could see something similar. From the guys on Rain, though, be looking out for some odd plays from time to time. Things that just aren't normal. What surprised me, I'm going to say, if they actually make the rush toward A off the beginning, as it looks like a few players rushing their way through mid. Player number 3 does check it out, as it looks like JetLi does not need any help from his teammate. And that what would have been a bait and switch situation. Tiny, though, with that sniper rifle, have to be very wary of him. MAGIK from long range takes out Hitmxn, and JetLi has the opportunity to go for 2, drops 1, and there's the second right in front of him. Tiny has the machine pistol out, and it will be JetLi who finishes him off with the final bullet. Just like that, Flawless left now in a 1 versus 3. A similar spot to where Neonn was, where the bomb was down on A. Kind of coming from that top red position. Now only has 20 seconds left to work with. A round that's not going to go the way of MAGIK. We'll see if he can make any improvements whatsoever, try to tear players off streaks, but isn't really able to make it happen. So when it comes down to the guys on Rain, at least from the Prime tournament, that's something that I can really bank off of. It was both JetLi and at times LispZeus who were having great performances in this game mode where they really kind of needed a boost. It was those two to kind of answer the call. And you can see JetLi kind of replicating performances right now. 4-1 for him, as now he'll be back on defense. We'll see what MAGIK can try and produce, as it was Tiny with that sniper rifle on offense in round 1, now swapping things off, but Flawless. The boys from MAGIK, they just know how to get the first bloods down. Despite that, though, Tiny making his presence felt through mid-map, as Neonn been pre-aiming there the entire time. Does take out 1 and also drop Schillez as well. MAGIK, well, he does find a nade kill before he dies. It's Flawless, though. He's left in a 1v2 spot. Hitmxn looking on. As right now, if I'm Flawless, or sorry, excuse me, if I'm Hitmxn or Neonn, I'm trying to maybe hold hands with my teammate. I'm trying to like get kind of back-to-back, watch a point of view, maybe try to work Neonn here to hop against that top red, because as time starts to tick away, a 1v1 like that can be very scary. And that's just goes to show, if you don't have teammate support around you, it can be kind of awkward. And you're seeing Flawless in the spot playing passively. He's thinking that probably Neonn is here. Like, he's almost kind of imagined that they kind of played this one out correctly as far as like playing together as a unit, playing together as a team. However, it's not the case. And with that in the back of his mind, Flawless is going to win this round thinking that Rain kind of played this one correctly, which, you know, granted, it's obviously a lot difficult to try to get across the map and whatnot. But Flawless wins back-to-back 1v1 engagements. Like I said, I understand the situation that Rain was kind of in, but still, though, back-to-back 1v1s, you hold the advantage. It's your opportunity to face off in those situations like that alone. So currently 2-1 in favor of the guys on MAGIK. Got to take a quick look actually at the bracket, and it looks like Vex has progressed themselves here to the finals. So winner of this series facing off against Vex. And what's kind of interesting actually is that Vicious on the other end was actually a prior teammate of Clan. Actually played alongside of MAGIK and Flawless. At one point we actually got to see MAGIK, Flawless, Tiny, and of course Vicious as well playing in one of our tournaments. So kind of a little bit of a recap, kind of a reunion, essentially, is what this is. Or what could be possible, rather. As impressive play from Tiny, literally retaking the site with a sniper rifle. Of course, has the PPSH in his back pocket, tries to go for the rush. However, it's not going to be there. So smart plays coming in from Rain, of course, succeeding when it comes down to their offenses, whether it's been on A bomb site or the B bomb site. And really what we're seeing Rain do, which I'm a pretty big fan of, is just when it comes to St. Marie Dumas, you really just kind of have to take over a bomb site. You really just kind of have to fire in all 4 players and just try to get something down. I know kind of toward the middle half of like Infinite Warfare, it was actually the old Panda team, who was prior to that known as Vex, with players like Prophet and Fastball. Actually saw that Prophet retired the other day. Kind of sad to see that. Of course, wishing the best to Prophet. But still, though, his team was really kind of known for making these 4-man rushes into certain bomb sites. And a lot of the time throughout Infinite Warfare, it was a matter of kind of 3-1 splits. You kind of bait out someone toward a particular bomb site. But this team was just known for hitting bomb site together. Like, that was something that they were known for doing even in the title prior to Black Ops 3, where I got the cast over them. And teams really kind of adapted toward that game style of just collectively as a unit for hitting bomb sites and just not even worrying about the objective. Maybe kind of putting your objective man in the back lines, but just kind of sending a 3-man wave toward the enemy. And it's kind of what we're seeing both teams do right now, especially in that last run from MAGIK. Take over a bomb site, kind of set up shop, and just either wait for the enemy to kind of peek out, grab the advantage, and then from there, you obviously can work on getting the bomb down. But it's been a strategy that's obviously been utilized in the past, but I feel like that team really kind of ironed it. It's like, hey, this is how you can win a search and destroy. It's not a cheap strategy by any means, obviously, but it's just one that seems so obvious, but just never was really correctly utilized. So with that in mind, though, as kills do get exchanged, Hitmxn finding 2 off the start of this round. Along with that, we'll secure the plant, and now it will be Schillez in a 1v3. However, coming from an interesting point of view, actually on the flank, gets granted a free kill on Hitmxn, but can't finish off any of the gunfights. Had an opportunity to take out 2, and he'll walk away with 0. A 1v3, 27 seconds left, and this is going to be a 3rd round chalked up for the boys on Rain. Somehow JetLi escapes from there. I have no idea how he did that. That was very impressive, maybe living up to his gamer tag. The ninja skills kind of getting out of that scary situation. As Hitmxn actually does finish off with the hat trick in this round, along with the plant. So if we could observe, if we could actually take a look at Hitman's point of view loading into this next round, really curious to see how far he has progressed towards streaks, just based off of a phenomenal performance in that last round. So not far off, as you can see. 450 out of 625. As right now, if you're Hitmxn playing for first blood, maybe playing for interesting point of view, as it will be Tiny yet again with that sniper, man. Like I said, St. Marie-du-Mont isn't like a map where you really look at snipers and like, okay, yeah, absolutely. Like, this isn't by any means like USS Texas. This isn't the London docks. This is one of the maps where you really don't see this sniper get utilized that much. And just like that, that is a huge find. Takes down Hitmxn and also will take out JetLi, letting him know that he had no idea where that bullet was coming from. An ace potential coming up as it's Neonn last alive. Tiny might have spotted him. Neonn does reveal his position. And Tiny is feeling it, to say the least. 3 found in this round, as he has just been a problem when it's came down to search and destroy, especially with that sniper play. I thought that Tiny had this kill, but it was actually MAGIK who ends up finding it. But really, the most important kill in this round comes on to Hitmxn. Not far off of streaks. He, of course, kind of plays for an opposite side angle, peeks his head out, and just gets met with the shots from Tiny. As now if we can actually take a look at Tiny's point of view, very curious to see how far he is. Okay, so not as close as Hitmxn was in that last round, but this guy and First Bloods, the ability with that sniper rifle is just uncanny. But take a look here actually at the offensive team at the top left of your map right now. Full 4-man rush coming in toward A, and Tiny is there yet again. They have to be utilizing these smokes. It looks like they do toss a smoke, but look how useful that is. Look how useful that smoke is. You have an easy opportunity to take a look at where the players are rushing at the start. It's almost like half of the bomb site was covered. And Tiny has the advantage of having the most prevalent point of view. LispZeus, you have you have nobody who's in that site right now. And there goes another one. Probably Neonn. Okay, thankfully Neonn does find the kill, but to no avail. 40 seconds left. Nades being tossed every which way. And gunshots as well. And that's the issue, right? We see the guys on Rain try to establish a push into the A site. Totally gets ruined by Tiny. Finds the first blood. I think he finds like at least 2 kills in this round. And they try to toss the smoke late toward that mid-cut area, but they don't toss it correctly. It gets tossed out to where Tiny has a perfect point of view to at least look at the players who were coming from their spawn into the bomb site. Just kind of poor execution coming out of the guys from Rain, and now they sit at a point where only MAGIK needs 1 more round, and this tournament for them is over. It ends. Very surprising play. And this is a strategy actually from MAGIK that we got to see in their last series, playing passively, letting the enemy come to them. As MAGIK, does he just get taken out through that wall? I have no idea how he gets found in that situation, but Tiny, though, responds back with a shot onto JetLi. 9-5 right now. And still looking on. 3v3 objective still in the hand of Flawless. As Tiny coming around the corner, just gets timing. Play number 7 might have spotted him going in toward bottom red. And I believe Hitmxn might have just caught the backside of Tiny going in toward that bottom side. So with that in mind, bomb gets planted on toward A. And you can see Schillez, he's a little bit like curious, like where should I really rotate to? Like what kind of point of view should I watch? So it looks like they are going to have the opportunity to watch toward barn side. Schillez has to be wary of his right side as Flawless drops. He does quickly as well. So a round responded coming in toward the boys on Rain. As now it will be 5 rounds to 4. Getting interesting. And right now, if you're Rain, you're just trying to chip away at the current advantage. First bloods are very important, and right now, this is such a huge round because right now the guys on Rain, they're on offense. This could be their last offensive round of this entire map. Of course, if kills/score go their way heading into a round 11, this could be their last offensive round for them. So if they can win this, it's so huge when it comes to the overall scape of this series. But look at this. Schillez has found himself on the flank. He ends up finding one, but can't find the second onto JetLi. Now it's Neonn, last alive. A 1 versus 1, and Neonn is able to escape. He escapes out of the sight. He has his life. But for how much longer? Somehow, I don't know in what way Neonn is able to escape out of that narrow corridor, but he's able to make it happen. Schillez, granted, he had a few shaky shots, but Neonn was the definition of one shot. And now coming back to where he was just nearly taken out. I like the strat coming in from Neonn, and once he realizes that he's not here, he should go for the quick plant because he's going to say, okay, this guy definitely rotated. There's no way he's still here. And based on the position that he's planting for, interested to see where he actually rotates toward. He might just kind of play around the map, kind of play scattered. Thought he might sit inside the top red, but like Neonn, it looks like Schillez. Does he go on the defuse? Holding the sight, and Schillez will be able to win it. A big 1v1, gets the timing, and will get the advantage back onto Neonn. Says you escaped my grasp once, but you won't let it happen again. And just like that, the boys on MAGIK are going to take this series 2-0 and now find themselves here in tonight's tournament in the finals, facing off against Vex. I'm not going to lie, I'm really surprised by this result. But yet again, in Search and Destroy, man, it's Tiny. 10-7, Flawless finishes off 7-6. And Schillez, granted, well, he plays fairly consistent. It's really just a matter of him kind of finding the kills when they matter the most. In the big situations and that big 1v1, as we can kind of take a look here quickly at our round-ending scoreboard, kind of see how things obviously lined out. It was really off. The start really was about kills, kind of going back and forth heading into round number 6. But it was that kind of 2-round swing in round 7 and round 8 for MAGIK that really kind of gave them the advantage, put themselves in the driver's seat as they were obviously up 5 rounds to 3. And kind of diffuse this at the end. Both teams kind of feeling a little bit more control heavy. They started kind of rushing towards sites. And really kind of by round 7, or actually toward round 6, excuse me, we start to see both teams start to 4-hit bomb sites. That's what I was kind of discussing through a lot of this game was whoever's going to kind of establish control, get the objective down, and just kind of work off of that is probably going to win this game. And we kind of noticed toward the end of the match, it was MAGIK who was getting the objective down, taking over a site, and really just kind of working from it. But generally, I was pretty impressed by MAGIK's overall play. But Tiny, with that sniper rifle, I mean, we talked about literally one specific round where he just kind of totally takes over the entire map. It's like I said, that rotation toward A, Rain. They're trying to make that 4-man push kind of off to the kind of awkward bomb site. They did the exact same thing in round number 1, try to catch the enemy off guard. Definitely did. It worked for a time. But they have no one sitting inside the top red. They have no one kind of watching that top red position. So while, you know, I do applaud the kind of 4-man rush in toward A, it's also a situation where the reason why A isn't hit very often kind of like that is because of that top red position. You have no one to kind of challenge that. If you send someone kind of toward your top winery building or maybe even toward arches to try to find a shot on where a guy could be lingering inside the top red, you can obviously make something like that happen. I know there's actually a smoke that you can toss. I think I've actually seen it from Enigma 6. When you're kind of in backside of winery, there's like a smoke that you can toss to land inside of that top red stored building. You know, granted, good luck finding that VOD or maybe even trying to figure out that smoke would be a thing for a private lobby to try to figure out. But there are kind of strategies to try to counter that. We end up seeing a smoke get tossed out actually toward one of the buildings. It kind of landed on the roof. What happens there is like basically only half the site is blocked, and it's not the half where kind of the guys from Rain are walking toward. So it's like once the smoke gets tossed, it locks down like half the bomb, so it kind of locks down half the vision. But the site where they're kind of walking in toward is not being blocked whatsoever. So it's okay maybe if the other side is blocked, like that's totally fine. Tiny's vision is kind of limited at that point, but he is just picking players time after time after time. LispZeus, once his teammate drops, he's like, okay, maybe if I can get a nice point of view, Tiny isn't checking me, so he tries to go back to the site. Tiny's right there, takes him out too. Totally breaks off that entire setup. Tiny has no help. He just kind of gets things done by himself, and that's just a factor that he can be with that sniper rifle. And like I said, that weapon isn't used very often. Like, at any point, if Tiny made his way in toward top red, he probably has a PPSH versus a machine pistol or, you know, whatever, like a very awkward gunfight to kind of come up against him. He's probably not ready for it, but kind of baits off of it, kind of pulls off a little bit of a, you know, a interesting strat, the one that isn't predicted, and it obviously works out for him. Kind of a high-risk, high-reward play. As now looking on here, of course, it will be the guys from MAGIK who advance themselves into the finals. I believe we do have the maps ready to go to kind of see how things will be lining themselves out. So it will be London Docks hardpoint for map 1. Arden Forest here for some search and destroy. And for map number 3, it will be Arden Forest for some CTF. So visiting Arden Forest and back-to-back maps, I'm really happy to see it on CTF and be able to experience it on some search and destroy. But one thing to kind of break down what should be interesting final, as I talked about, MAGIK. Kind of a reunion as far as the 3 players coming from MAGIK and Flawless, Tiny, and MAGIK. All 3 of these players, especially Flawless and MAGIK, played on that Merkin Clan team. At one point, Tiny was kind of being a sub, a kind of a fourth to try to, you know, established himself onto the roster, kind of a fill-in for a short time trying out for the Merkin team. And they also played alongside of Vicious. They didn't see a whole lot of success by any means. The team kind of disbands. Flawless kind of drops the entire roster and tries to go from there. He ends up leaving the Merkin Clan roster shortly after, and nothing really kind of gets found from it. But it's going to be a pretty interesting rivalry. Just kind of see who has the better kind of laugh at this point. One thing, though, from Vex that I've been very impressed with them is just their respawn talent. I mean, these guys can really go off from time to time. I really thought that Rain was probably going to take this tournament tonight, but I thought the biggest test for them would be facing off against Vex. Of course, that's not going to take place because Rain gets eliminated here from MAGIK. But really, the first respawn, MAGIK has been winning, you know, the hard points. They've won a search and destroy, and they won a CTF. They won every single game mode tonight. One thing with Vex that we've got to see them from time to time is that they are a very talented respawn team. Brack is super solid with the assault rifle. I've seen Vicious go off on a number of different maps. Same thing with Rampy, especially in Search and Destroy alongside Lyric. Like, these guys are overall very consistent team. You can kind of see them make mistakes from time to time, but especially I think map number 1 was London Docks hardpoint, I think. It can be a little bit scary, right? The SMG up close. We talk about the guys from MAGIK, who the guys are going to have the SMG in hand. Probably going to be Tiny and MAGIK versus, I would say, probably Vicious and Brack. It's going to be kind of an interesting fight to kind of see those 2 or those 4 total players kind of go at it with one another. It should be a very interesting final. Of course, will be a best of 3 as well. So a lot on the line here. Pretty surprised to see the guys on MAGIK make it so far throughout this tournament, finding themselves in the finals. Not surprised to see the guys on Vex here, especially after a little bit of an issue with Havoc's team.
I'm cold, steel stainless. My glass half full. Always said don't suffer no fools.